Welcome to today's Explainer. I am so glad you're here. We're going to unpack exactly how modern 2025 AI architectures are finally solving one of the most persistent headaches in the field: context limits and long-term learning. You know, if you've ever wondered how an AI transitions from a simple, stateless text generator into a system that actually remembers you and learns over time, you are in exactly the right place. So, get comfortable and let's explore this together.
Before we get into all the complex architectural diagrams, I want to ground us in a very simple core concept. Think of agent memory like this. It's like the AI having a digital notepad on its desk, where it scribbles down your preferences so it doesn't suffer from amnesia every time you talk to it. That simple idea, giving the machine a persistent place to take notes, is really the foundation for everything we are going to build today.
To keep things crystal clear, we've broken our time into 3 distinct chapters. First, Chapter 1, the concept. Then, Chapter 2, the example. And finally, Chapter 3, the takeaway.
Okay, let's dive into this. Chapter 1, the concept, the multi-tiered cognitive architecture. It's fascinating how modern AI brains are actually starting to mimic human cognitive systems.
What we're looking at in late 2025 is a massive evolution. Imagine we are literally opening up a large, well-organized filing cabinet. Right there in the top drawer, we have our L1 tier, working memory. This relies on the context window and KV cache, giving the agent a place to hold its current task steps. It's incredibly fast. Then, moving down to the middle drawer, we find the L2 tier, episodic memory. This uses vector databases to store past experiences, essentially answering, what did I do last time? And finally, down in that heavy bottom drawer, we have the L3 tier, semantic memory. Powered by global knowledge graphs, this is where user preferences and universal truths are permanently stored. This whole tiered approach perfectly balances speed, compute cost, and total recall capacity.
To really visualize this separation, let's imagine a physical workspace. Over on the left side is your active memory. That's the desk. This is your L1 context window, the transient, temporary scratch pad right in front of the AI where the immediate work happens. On the right side is static memory. That's the filing cabinet we just opened. These are your L2 and L3 persistent databases. When the AI finishes its active work on the desk, it doesn't just throw the papers away, right? It neatly files the important logs away in those cabinet drawers for tomorrow.
Let's look a little closer at that desk, the L1 working memory. In modern models, this context window can hold anywhere from 128,000 to 2.5 million tokens. But here's the trick. We don't just dump everything in there. We use a dedicated scratchpad state object where the agent writes notes to itself to reason through problems. And interestingly enough, these notes aren't even shown to the user. To manage all this with a blazing fast latency of under 50 milliseconds, the system uses prefix caching and KV cache tiling. This basically keeps the heavy system instructions warm in the GPU memory, so it only has to swap out the active task state.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how L2 episodic memory protects the agent from acting like a goldfish. L2 stores entire runs or trajectories of past actions using vector databases, usually with 100 to 300 millisecond latency. So let's say your agent failed to scrape a specific website last Tuesday because it used a bad CSS selector. Well, episodic memory ensures it remembers that failure. It does a self-search, experiences what we call experience replay, and completely avoids repeating that exact same mistake today.
But what about facts that never really change? That is the domain of L3 semantic memory. While L2's vector searches can be a bit fuzzy, L3 uses global knowledge graphs for absolute deterministic retrieval. It acts as the truth, anchoring the entire system. It maps entities and relationships explicitly, like knowing for an absolute fact that the production database is always offline between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. It takes a bit longer, over 500 milliseconds of latency, but when L1 or L2 gets confused, L3 steps in as the final authority. Moving right along, Chapter 2, the example. We're going to look at memory consolidation patterns. Let's see how a fleeting thought actually moves from the desk into the filing cabinet. Having a desk and a filing cabinet is great, but how does the paper actually get from the desk into the right drawer? That process is called memory consolidation. I want to walk through this very deliberately, step by step. Step 1 is extraction. A separate LLM acting as a reviewer looks over the L1 workspace and extracts the vital facts. Step 2 is indexing. Those extracted facts are carefully routed. Experiences go into the L2 vectors, and hard facts go into the L3 graph nodes. And finally, Step 3 is decay. Just like a real human brain, older, non-reinforced memories are eventually pruned from active storage and moved to cold storage.
And this brilliantly illustrates the end result of that consolidation process. Imagine an agent extracting a simple fact. The user prefers JSON output. Once that little triplet of information moves from a fleeting conversation into the L3 semantic knowledge graph, it alters the agent's persona permanently for that specific user. You literally never have to ask for JSON again. It just knows.
Of course, humans change their minds all the time. Last week you liked JSON, but today you want CSV. When an agent extracts a new fact that conflicts with an old one, the architecture handles it so elegantly. Every memory is assigned a timestamp. We call this temporal weighting, along with a confidence score. If there's a clash, the system can use explicit disputing, which is basically pausing to ask you for clarification. Or it can simply default to the most recent timestamp, while those decay functions slowly prune away your old preferences.
Let's see how this translates into modern tools. By late 2025, managed services like Mem0 have become the absolute standard. They provide a memory API that automatically handles all of this extraction and indexing behind the scenes. And the impact on the user experience? It's profound. When an agent seamlessly recalls a minor detail you casually mentioned 3 months ago in a totally different session, it stops feeling like a script and starts feeling, well, alive.
And that brings us to Chapter 3, the takeaway. Architecture interview questions. Let's test our understanding here.
So we've learned the concepts and we've seen the examples. Now let's step into the shoes of a lead architect. I'm going to pose a staff-level design question. We know modern models can handle up to 2.5 million tokens in their active context window. So why bother with the filing cabinet at all? Why not just dump every single past conversation directly onto the L1 active disk every single time? Think about what would happen to the system if we did that.
If you guessed that the system would just grind to a halt, you are absolutely right. The cost of infinite context is severe. First off, it's economically inefficient. Calling a model with over 1 million tokens for every single conversational turn is outrageously expensive. Second, you suffer from attention dilution. Even the best models experience lost-in-the-middle degradation. If you clutter the desk with noise, the model gets distracted from its current task. And finally, high latency. The time it takes to generate that very first word scales directly with the size of the context.
So the crucial point is this. A true staff-level architecture doesn't rely on raw context size. It relies on selective memory retrieval. We use RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, over the historical data to pull only the 3 to 5 most relevant interactions into the L1 scratchpad. This keeps the active reasoning engine focused, lean, and incredibly fast.
Let's tackle one final, vital question. When we extract facts from a user's L1 scratchpad and store them in the L3 global filing cabinet, how do we prevent privacy leakage? How do we ensure that your sensitive data doesn't accidentally become part of the global knowledge graph for everyone else to see? The solution requires strict security at multiple layers. First, the global semantic memory must be sharded by namespace, assigning a unique ID to every user. We enforce this with row-level security at the database layer, so data literally cannot cross boundaries. But even more importantly, during that memory consolidation phase we discussed earlier, we introduce a strict PII scrubbing layer. This ensures that passwords and personal info are systematically stripped out before they ever leave the transient L1 context. We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today, from the fast scratch pads of working memory to the permanent relationship maps of knowledge graphs. But I want to leave you with a thought as you go out and build or interact with these systems. When agents can actively remember our preferences, genuinely learn from their past mistakes, and dynamically update their worldviews, are we just building software anymore? Or are we engineering a digital colleague? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, keep building, and I will see you next time.